Summary of the Big Tree Thinking Model Theory. Hello everyone. I am Parke. Today, I will give a free lecture on the topic of the Big Tree Thinking Model. This lecture aims to provide a clear explanation of the theory and address various aspects related to it. However, I cannot predict how much you will accept or believe in this lecture. I can only do my best to make it as clear and understandable as possible. First of all, why did I write the theory of the Big Tree Thinking Model? Well, it all comes down to the issue of thinking patterns. Various thinking patterns exist, which might have been discussed in other books or by other people. However, I am presenting pattern theory that I have personally developed and believe to be relatively comprehensive. The relationships between different aspects of this theory resemble the structure of a large tree, and it also aligns with many properties associated with trees. That's why I named it the Big Tree Thinking Model Theory. When discussing thinking patterns, they are extremely important for an individual. They represent a conscious existence or an indispensable component within one's ideology. Why write the theory of the Big Tree Thinking Model? As a mindset, everyone has a certain way of thinking, and for most people, it can be described as an inertia mindset. This inertia mindset is developed gradually from childhood to adulthood, influenced by one's family environment, social environment, educational environment, and overall upbringing. This inertia mindset varies for each individual. Is this correct? It's hard to say. Why? If you are currently a successful person, then perhaps your mindset is correct because otherwise, you wouldn't have achieved success. However, if you are currently not successful and feel extremely poor, troubled, frustrated, and devoid of hope for the future, it can only indicate one thing: your mindset is incorrect. Why do I say this? You can think about it yourself. The things you believe are correct and how you think they should be done, are they truly correct? Have you achieved them in Are your actions truly correct? No, and many times, you don't even know if you're doing something right or wrong. You may feel confused. We call this phenomenon mental confusion. The reason for mental confusion is the lack of a good pattern or model. If you have a good thought pattern, your thinking won't be confused because this pattern guides your thinking process. If you apply the pattern correctly, have a good understanding of it, and are familiar with its various applications, you will quickly reach a correct conclusion. So why should you still feel uncertain? Therefore, after a long period of contemplation and practical lectures, I have written this book on the theory of the tree thinking model. I intend to help those who feel lost, frustrated, tired, and confused in life, and even those who struggle with their thinking patterns in their work. This book is specifically aimed at individuals who face difficulties in their thought processes. Target groups benefited by the tree thinking model. The theory of the big tree mindset cannot be universally applicable. Moreover, any theory, truth, or even well-intentioned behavior will face opposition. There will always be criticism, insults, and even verbal abuse in life. It is a normal phenomenon. In society, there is a group of people whose profession is to criticize and oppose others, and they oppose just for the sake of opposing. This is a social phenomenon that we are powerless to change. All we can do is change ourselves. The tree thinking model theory targets the following groups: underperforming students, especially those struggling with mathematics, individuals who have experienced investment failures, people who feel dissatisfied with their lives, individuals with psychological imbalances, individuals with strained relationships, and those with mental disorders. All the problems encountered by these groups are fundamentally rooted in issues with their thinking patterns. The problems we are referring to here encompass all the difficulties you encounter in life, and they arise from incorrect thinking patterns in various aspects. At this point, I'm not sure if everyone agrees with this viewpoint, but regardless of whether you agree or not, take a moment to carefully think about it. In your life, when you encounter situations where incorrect decisions or approaches lead to unfavorable outcomes, what if you were to approach it differently? If you didn't handle it that way, or if you arrived at a different conclusion at that time, would the outcome still be negative? In reality, this may sound somewhat mystical, but it is and the real world. Whether you are a student, a working professional, a boss, or a retired individual, have you ever experienced these phenomena in your life? It's a simple exam question that you couldn't answer, but once someone explains it to you outside the exam room, you suddenly understand and regret not knowing it earlier. In your work, have you encountered situations where problems arose due to your negligence or lack of foresight, leading to criticism from your boss, or even a salary reduction or resignation? And for retired individuals, as you reflect on your work, life, and the education of your children, what successes and failures have you had, and what were the reasons for your failures? Ultimately, these issues boil down to our thought patterns and mindset. Everyone, take a moment to reflect on this, as it is crucial to understand that our thought patterns not only shape our conclusions but also guide our actions in any given situation. So, when we make a mistake or act inappropriately, what does it indicate? It indicates that our thought pattern is flawed because it did not provide us with the correct approach and method. This is why I emphasize the importance of writing the theory of the big tree thought pattern. The big tree thought pattern, regardless of the aspect or form of its application, whether through deduction, inference, or argumentation, aims to provide you with the most accurate and effective approach for your specific circumstances. Of course, this is also related to the principle of being realistic in your application. Why? If you input false or unrealistic information into the big tree thought pattern, the results you derive will also be false. This is a complementary relationship, so today I want to emphasize the most important aspect of thought patterns, being realistic. It is the fundamental cause of all problems. We emphasize the importance of thought patterns, and we can conclude two aspects, big and small, from a smaller perspective. Different thought patterns lead to different outcomes in problem solving. We can all deeply understand this, because when your conclusions are different, your actions will be different. And when your actions are different, including your attitude toward the problem, predictions, and results, they will naturally be different. That's why the big tree thinking model is important. Every individual should approach it based on reality, as it allows you to deduce the best possible outcome for problem solving. This, in turn, determines your approach, methods, and even your behavior toward the problem. So, can you see the significance of this thought pattern? Let's approach it from another broader perspective. Different thought patterns lead to different life outcomes. Indeed, they can change your entire life and its results. If you learn and master the big tree thinking model, which is a systematic, comprehensive, and refined theory of thought patterns, and if you gradually become proficient in it and apply it, you can redefine your future life. You will arrive at different conclusions about life. So, the reason for writing the big tree thinking model is to bring about a transformation in the lives of each individual. Of course, if you are currently satisfied with your life and believe it is excellent, you don't need to learn it. It won't be useful for you in that case. However, if you are experiencing poverty, exhaustion, weariness, and a lack of dreams or hope in life, then I urge you to calm down and dedicate yourself to learning this theory of thought patterns. Once you grasp the big tree thinking model, you will understand how to change your life. Therefore, from a broader perspective, the big tree thinking model has the potential to transform your entire life. After discussing so much, some of you may wonder if what we've been saying is just empty talk or useless rhetoric. Let me assure you that it is not mere empty talk. The overall direction we've been discussing is indeed correct. We can apply the theory of the big tree thinking model to specific problems, dissecting them bit by bit, so that you can get a sense of how to approach these situations and think correctly and effectively. However, let's not limit ourselves to theoretical discussions alone. Why did I write this theory in the first place? Of course, it is for practical application. Without application, this theory would hold little value. Let's discuss some small-scale problems from a life perspective and see if the big tree thinking model can help solve them. Everyone knows that with the increase in population and the decline or downturn of the economy, competition in various industries is becoming increasingly fierce. So, how can you outperform others in the same industry? Let's take a small example. For example, let's say you are a solo entrepreneur running a restaurant or a small shop. Now, if you want to expand your business and increase your income, what should you do? Using the big tree thinking model, let's first analyze your root system, which refers to everything you currently have. If you want to achieve a different outcome, such as generating higher income, you need to identify the shortcomings in your root system. What do you lack? What conditions do you need? These considerations are essential. Further, if you are involved in a small food business, it's important to understand the level of popularity your product enjoys. Consider factors such as taste and cost effectiveness. Can your product be widely accepted by the majority of people? Assuming it is well received, you will naturally know how to expand your operations. However, if your product is ordinary or not something that stands out and is widely accepted, what should you do? Of course, if everyone rejects it, there is no need to pursue it further. If you find yourself in a situation where you can only maintain the current status quo and are unable to expand, you should consider the reasons behind it. Although why? All have a certain consumer base, you are unable to grow. At this point, you need to think about what methods you can employ to overcome this challenge. Let's analyze the requirements using the big tree thinking model. First, you need to change the product's flavor to appeal to a wider audience. Second, you should rephrase the product to improve its value for money. Third, you need to attract more customers to your business. This can be achieved through various means such as marketing and advertising. Once you have fulfilled these conditions, you can consider expanding your business by opening chain stores or engaging in joint marketing ventures, among other strategies. After analyzing these perspectives, you can derive various conclusions. For example, considering that young people nowadays prefer cheese flavors, you can add some cheese to cater to their preferences and attract them to your product. This way, you can effectively stimulate customer traffic. Another point is customer acquisition. You can use various strategies such as giveaways or offering high-value products, services at a reasonable price to attract customers to your business. Implementing a membership program is also a viable option. These methods are widely discussed and available online, so you can search for more detailed information on how to effectively apply them. However, you must have a feasible approach and ensure that your consumers perceive your product as having excellent value for money. This is a crucial prerequisite. Once you have established this foundation, you can start deducing what basic conditions are lacking and how to fulfill them. If you can successfully meet all these basic conditions, there's nothing that you cannot achieve. When discussing this, some people might think it sounds too easy. However, I disagree. If you have truly studied the big tree thinking model theory, you would consider the questions comprehensively. Especially when you start putting your thoughts or need add requirements on paper, including your basic conditions and objectives, and then systematically deduce them using the big tree thinking model theory. By doing so, all the problems will be easily resolved. After learning the theory of the big tree thinking model, if you still can't find a good method or solution in your life or during a certain phase of your work, it indicates two things. Firstly, you haven't effectively applied the big tree thinking model theory. This theory involves a bidirectional deductive process, so you need to actively apply it. Many times, you can reverse the deduction process and derive the basic conditions needed to achieve your desired goals. Secondly, it suggests that your foundation is not strong enough, meaning that your fundamental understanding hasn't reached a certain level. What should you do in this situation? You need to learn. But how do you learn and what do you learn? You can conclude about these questions through the reverse deduction process of the big tree thinking model theory. Therefore, the big tree thinking model theory provides you with a systematic approach and method of thinking, allowing you to list out all the problems and find solutions. That is where its value lies. Certainly, later on, I will discuss how among the students learning this big tree thinking model theory, various small groups or communities can be formed to facilitate mutual exchange. They can share their experiences and complement each other's shortcomings in learning and practical applications, but I will elaborate on this later. Now let's continue. It may sound like doing this is very easy, and you might have some doubts about whether it's true, whether it's useful, and whether it can solve problems. I believe there's no need for doubt. As long as you engage with the big tree thinking model theory and gradually experiment with it, conducting small experiments with various problems, and truly taking action to draw and write things down, you will eventually find solutions. I often say to people around me, there are no problems that cannot be solved. There are only people who cannot find the way. Let's think about this statement. Isn't it true? 问号. Let's not just focus on issues caused by human actions or interpersonal relationships. Even when it comes to problems in nature, there are often multiple solutions, right? For example, earthquakes are not something we can control, but if we reach a certain level of scientific advancement, we can predict them. With that knowledge, we can take preventive measures, avoid the affected areas, and minimize the potential harm. Isn't this all within the realm of human capability? So, the point is, we shouldn't limit ourselves to the problems we encounter in our immediate reality. Even natural disasters and other calamities can be predicted and solved. It's just a matter of finding the right methods. Our technology, including our intellect, may not have discovered the solutions to these problems yet, but that doesn't mean they are unsolvable. It simply means we haven't found the methods to address them. If we can identify these problems early on, then naturally we will have solutions for them. So, the meaning behind my statement is to remind everyone that there is nothing we cannot solve. The reason we may struggle to solve certain problems lies within ourselves is because we haven't found the methods to address them. It's entirely our responsibility as individuals. Take a moment to reflect on whether this makes sense to you. We are discussing another aspect. Society is rapidly developing, but its progress is not always in a positive direction. For example, the emergence of pandemics, the current financial crisis, localized wars, and the widening wealth gap lead to negative impacts on many of us, especially the youth. These phenomena result in unemployment, anxiety, emotional breakdowns, and so on in our work lives. Why do emotional breakdowns occur? They are often accompanied by heavy burdens such as mortgage and car loans. Those who are married also have to consider their children's education and various other issues. In such circumstances, many young people experience confusion, anxiety, and a particular sense of loss. It is important to acknowledge that when you find yourself in such emotional states, it is normal. You must understand that nobody has a smooth journey in life. Of course, some individuals come from wealthy backgrounds, but for the majority of us, especially the working class, experiencing these problems is normal. The current challenge is how you can address these issues in your life. We need to be clear about one thing. We cannot solve society's problems. Instead, we can only adapt and survive within the complex social environment. What is our purpose then? It is to solve our problems. Problems have arisen in our own lives, and we are faced with conflicts, anxieties, and more. What do we do in such situations? We must find methods to solve them. We use the big tree thinking model to analyze the methods to solve all these problems, and one of the most important aspects is earning money. Everyone agrees with this point, as we need income and money to sustain our lives in the current society. Therefore, we need to think about how we can earn money and stand out amid this financial crisis. Here we should interject. I don't know if you have had this experience or not, but when a person encounters a problem, regardless of its magnitude, the ultimate resolver of the problem is always the individual. External assistance or advice may be helpful, but they cannot fundamentally solve the problem. Therefore, the person who truly resolves the problem in life is always oneself. I don't know if you have had this experience, but you can think about it, especially when you are learning the big tree thinking model theory. Remember one thing, you are learning to solve your problems. This point is very important. The big tree thinking model theory is a knowledge system, that's correct, but its most important aspect is application. It applies to yourself, to all of your problems, whether in learning, life, or even relationship issues. The big tree thinking model theory can help you find the best solutions or conditions for all these problems. The key lies in how we apply it. There is another crucial issue that I have observed in the process of learning and applying the big tree thinking model theory. Some students struggle to change their habitual way of thinking, and this can be quite concerning. Consider this: if you continue to approach problems with your habit UAL thinking, have you truly solved all of your past problems? Perhaps some issues have faded over time or have been abandoned, but if your habitual thinking is correct, would you still encounter these problems? Therefore, I have to say, the correctness of habitual thinking entirely depends on your current state. If you are in a good state and your habitual thinking serves you well, then there is no need for you to learn the big tree thinking model theory. You can continue using your habitual thinking to guide your actions. However, if you truly encounter problems that you cannot solve, then I must tell you that your habitual thinking is incorrect. Of course, it is a very difficult task for a person to change their habitual thinking quickly or within a short period. Therefore, whether you can master the big tree thinking model theory depends on your ability to change your habitual thinking. This is the key point I want to emphasize. I believe that in the future, when some of our students can form various groups and engage in mutual communication on social media, they may encounter a wide range of problems from different perspectives. At that time, through discussions and exchanges, I believe that they will be able to find satisfactory solutions. This is one of the most important reasons why I advocate learning the big tree thinking model theory. Okay, let's continue. To solve all the problems that arise in our lives, every problem in the big tree thinking model theory becomes very clear. You need to analyze it carefully and approach it with rational analysis, reasoning, and argumentation. How to reason and how to argue. I believe everyone understands that. We will discuss these issues in our future interactions, so I hope that everyone can embrace the big tree thinking mode theory as an opportunity to transform and change their life. Just imagine, if you adopt a different thinking pattern, will it lead you to different conclusions when considering certain problems? 问号. I believe it will. This point should be understood by anyone with a little bit of intelligence and who is a rational individual. What do we need to do? We need to change our negative thinking patterns. Once you develop the habit of thinking in the big tree thinking mode, you will naturally apply this mode of thinking to analyze and deduce all the problems you encounter. You will arrive at the best possible conclusion or find the necessary conditions for yourself. This is the essence of the big tree thinking mode theory. Furthermore, let's discuss another issue, which arises naturally in society due to the development of AI systems, especially the powerful capabilities of OpenAI. The question is, does AI replace human labor? Will it lead to unemployment and joblessness for many people? Why did I bring up this issue? Because I believe it is currently a hot topic during the period when I am giving this lecture. Of course, I will discuss this question further in another promotional video. I can confidently tell you one thing: if you are worried about AI replacing your job, it indicates one thing, that your thinking is incorrect. Why do I say this? Using the term incorrect to describe your thinking is not comprehensive enough. It should be said that compared to AI, your thinking is weak. Let's analyze it. Firstly, AI systems have a significant advantage in terms of their extensive resources. For example, when you pose a question, AI has access to a wide range of interpretive and theoretical resources related to that question. This is something that humans cannot match because of the immense resources behind AI, including platforms like Google, which offer various problem-solving methods and interpretations. Undeniably, this is a strength of AI. It can provide accurate conclusions for problem solving, including problem solving, answering questions, and even diagnosing medical conditions, thanks to the knowledge and resources at its disposal. In comparison, humans are far behind. What sets us apart? It is the lack of memory capacity in our brains compared to AI. We have less memory, and our data is not as comprehensive as AI's. This is something we must acknowledge and is a testament to the powerful capabilities of AI. Now let's consider the second point. Who gave AI its powerful capabilities? Humans did. AI doesn't emerge out of thin air. It's the product of human inventors who have imparted their thinking patterns and logical reasoning to AI. In other words, AI can only utilize the thinking patterns that humans have given it. Have you ever thought about this? So, are the thinking patterns of those who invent or create AI systems always correct? Not necessarily. Sometimes, their incorrect thinking patterns can lead to confusion in AI. That's why we're discussing AI here, to highlight a very realistic issue. AI doesn't understand the theory of big tree thinking. Therefore, it cannot analyze a matter in the thorough manner that our theory compares comprehensive suggestions and methods. All the answers provided by AI are simply based on normal logical reasoning. However, it cannot solve the fundamental aspects of many problems, and it is incapable of creating abstract inventions and theoretical outcomes that humans can achieve. This is because AI is forever dependent on humans. Of course, the premise is that if we instill this big tree thinking theory into AI, will the AI system be able to utilize it? Not necessarily. Why do I say that? Because everyone overlooks a crucial point. Why is it called the theory of big tree thinking? It's like a tree because it has two pathways: absorption of nutrients through the roots and the process of photosynthesis through the leaves. AI cannot integrate these aspects seamlessly. The most important reason is that our bidirectional reasoning and deduction are not unique. They can lead to many different conclusions and even different results. Can I, like humans, discover and instantly identify all the key points? I have my doubts. After all, the theory of big tree thinking is still in its early stages. I can only tell why. That there are more advanced patterns and applications yet to be explored in the future, so there's no need to worry. It's normal to have concerns about AI replacing certain jobs. However, you should learn to utilize AI and treat it as a tool. Don't worry about it surpassing you. If you're concerned about AI surpassing you, frankly speaking, your thinking patterns have significant issues that need to be addressed. You must change them. If your intelligence cannot surpass that of AI, then ultimately you will be phased out by society. Simply put, I want to assure you all that I have confidence in the future. I will conduct some specialized lectures, and when we form groups or communication channels, we can discuss these issues together. The key point to remember is that, currently, all AI systems utilize existing logical thinking patterns based on certain theories. Logical thinking patterns revolve around a specific matter, but what do they lack? They cannot abstract thinking. This is something everyone should understand. Abstract thinking cannot be immediately instilled into AI systems because if it were, AI would lose its comprehension and complications would arise. So, there's no need to worry about this issue. I believe AI is the so-called intelligence bestowed upon by humans, and ultimately, it serves us, humans. It cannot surpass human intelligence. That's all I wanted to address on this matter. In summary, let's be straightforward. If you are facing various problems in your life, feeling exhausted, or experiencing negative emotions, consider this. Could it be that your thinking patterns are the issue? If you believe they are, then it's time for you to learn the theory of big tree thinking. Soon, you will develop a new thinking pattern, and at that point, you will be able to solve all your problems. Finally, I would like to address two more questions. The first question is about the pricing of the ebook on the theory of big tree thinking. Some people ask, is your price too expensive? I don't want to respond to each individual, but I want to mention a few points. First, knowledge is not something that comes for free or can be obtained effortlessly. Nowadays, many people have developed a habit of expecting things for free, as if society owes them everything. I'm sorry, but I reject that notion. Do you think the price is expensive? Let me be frank with you. The current price is only half of its intended value because it's just the introductory price. After 6 months or 3 months, the price will gradually increase. Second, think about how much money you spend when you go to KTV or have a drink. How much do you spend on buying a random gift for your girlfriend? At those times, do you consider it expensive? Why do you raise the issue of price when it comes to learning knowledge that can change your destiny and solve problems? If you think it's expensive, compared to the expense incurred for those activities, isn't the price of the ebook minimal? So, please refrain from consulting me on the matter of pricing, as I won't answer. Knowledge is valuable. The second question is about forming groups or circles. Of course, the circle I mentioned is not limited to a small scope. I hope to establish a worldwide alliance on a large scale. We can use social media platforms such as QQ, WeChat, WhatsApp, Facebook, and others to connect all the learners and form various groups across different industries, regions, and countries. The purpose is to enable everyone to share their problems within these groups. On one hand, we can listen to others' opinions, and on the other hand, we can exchange and learn from each other's experiences in studying the theory of big tree thinking. Of course, if you notify me, I will join your group as well. I can provide you with answers and methods to solve the problems you encounter in your studies, life, and work. We can even collaborate and analyze together to find solutions to your problems. I want to unify these groups and name them Elite Alliance. Yes, I hope that in the future, all those who have studied the theory of big tree thinking will join this alliance. This alliance will become a gathering of elites from various fields and will represent the future elites of the world. Alright, I don't know what you all think, but I hope that we can work together and make collective efforts. This lecture concludes here. The most important thing is your engagement in learning and our mutual exchange. Thank you, everyone.